Benny the Bear's Honey Adventure. Once upon a time, in a lush green forest, there lived a friendly bear named Benny. Benny was no ordinary bear, he had a special love for honey. Every day, he would wander through the woods, searching for the sweetest honey to enjoy. One sunny morning, Benny woke up with a rumbling tummy. He thought, today is the perfect day for honey. He grabbed his little backpack and set off on an adventure. As Benny walked through the forest, he met his friend, a clever rabbit named Ruby. "Where are you going, Benny?" Ruby asked, twitching her nose. "I'm on a quest for honey," Benny replied excitedly. "I'll come with you," Ruby exclaimed. Together, they followed the sweet scent of honey that floated through the air. After a while, they arrived at a big, old tree with a hole in it. "I can smell honey," Benny said, his eyes sparkling with joy. But just as he was about to climb the tree, they heard a buzzing sound. Out came a swarm of bees. Benny and Ruby froze. "Oh no, the bees guard the honey," Ruby said nervously. Benny thought for a moment. "What if we ask them nicely?" he suggested. So, gathering his courage, Benny approached the bees. "Hello, dear bees. We love honey and promise to be very gentle. Can we please have a little bit?" The bees buzzed around, whispering to each other. Finally, the queen bee spoke. "If you promise to be kind and not disturb our hive, you can have some honey." Benny and Ruby cheered with joy. The bees led them to a small bowl filled with golden honey. They dipped their paws in and tasted it. "Yum! This is the best honey ever," Benny said, licking his paws. After enjoying their treat, Benny and Ruby thanked the bees. "Thank you for sharing your honey with us," they said. The bees smiled, happy to share with friends. As they walked back home, Benny and Ruby felt grateful. They had not only found honey but also learned the value of kindness and friendship. From that day on, Benny the honey bear and Ruby the rabbit visited the bees often, always sharing stories and laughter. And so, in the heart of the forest, they all lived happily ever after. One beautiful day, Benny the bear and Ruby the rabbit decided to visit their bee friends again. They wanted to bring a sweet surprise to thank the bees for their kindness. "What should we bring them?" Ruby asked, hopping excitedly. Benny thought for a moment. "We could gather some delicious berries. Bees love berries," he said with a smile. So off they went, exploring the forest for the juiciest berries they could find. As they picked berries, they sang songs and laughed together. The forest was alive with colors, and the sweet scent of berries filled the air. Soon, they had a big basket full of red strawberries, blueberries, and blackberries. With the basket in tow, Benny and Ruby made their way to the bees' hive. When they arrived, the bees buzzed around, curious about their visit. Benny stepped forward and said, "Hello, dear bees. We've brought you a gift to thank you for the honey." The queen bee flew down, her wings shimmering in the sunlight. "What a lovely surprise," she exclaimed. "We love berries." The bees danced with joy as Benny and Ruby shared the berries with them. After feasting on the berries, the queen bee said, "To show our gratitude, we would like to share a special honey recipe with you." Excitedly, the bees began to explain how to make honey cakes, using the honey they had collected. Benny and Ruby listened closely, eager to learn. "First, you mix honey with flour and add a pinch of cinnamon," the queen bee instructed. "Then, bake it in the sun for a few hours." Benny and Ruby couldn't wait to try it. They promised to come back and share the honey cakes with all their forest friends. As they said their goodbyes, the bees buzzed happily, grateful for the friendship they had formed. On their way back home, Benny and Ruby talked about their next baking adventure. They knew that with a little kindness and teamwork, they could make something wonderful. And so, the adventures of Benny the honey bear and Ruby the rabbit continued, filled with laughter, friendship, and, of course, honey.
The end.